You know, I love a good documentary, and this time Miss Issa Rae is up to bat. Let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. All right, now we have seen and heard the history of Black television. This is the latest documentary on HBO Max for Black representation. This is being put together by Miss Issa Rae with her Hurrah and Arc Media production companies, and is also directed by Giselle Bailey. This is what the sister looks like right here, and also Mr. Phil Burtonson. There is no picture for him here, but I do have it on Google. This is what the gentleman looks like. Now, I will go ahead and say when I first saw the trailer for this, my expectations were pretty high. I am a fan of Issa Rae. I thought rap shit was decent. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite show, but I was a big fan of Insecure and anything else that Issa Rae has been part of for the most part, you know, I've been a fan of. You know, I've been rooting for her, wanting her to win. But yeah, she is one of the executive producers behind this documentary. It is a two-part documentary. One episode, the first is titled Seen, the second one is titled Heard. Heard, the second one is right at 90 minutes, 1 hour and 30 minutes. While Seeing, the first episode is around 1 hour and 15 minutes, and they are debuting on separate days. The first one, Tuesday, September the 9th, and also Wednesday, September the 10th. Now, just a little bit about the directors. Giselle Bailey, again, she is a Jamaican American. If you look at her filmography, she has produced The Legend of the Underground, My House, Slut Ever, States of Undress, and Gaycation. If you've seen or heard any of these and are a fan of her work, please let me know down in the comment section below. But when it comes to Phil Burtonson, this guy did 761st Tank Battalion. I said that like, I've never heard of that before. The original Black Panthers. Wait a minute, I may need to check that out. That sounds kind of cool. The 1619th Project, The Blacklist, Who Killed Malcolm X, Hope and Fury, MLK, The Movement and the Media, Finding Your Roots, The African Americans, Many Rivers to Cross. I mean, he's done a lot. And so again, if you've seen any of these or you are a fan of Mr. Phil Burtonson's work, please let me know down in the comment section below. And the title of this really did grab me, Seen and Heard. That's a great way to get someone's attention and kind of hook them in. And that is what happened with me and got me more interested in the show because I just knew what it was about instantly, just wanting to be seen and heard correctly through media. And I was hoping that Issa Rae could give me that gift. And so now I'm here to talk about it. So before I get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this Seen and Heard documentary part 1 is all about. And I will be talking slight spoilers as well. A journey through television history exploring Black representation from early on-screen appearances to modern creators revolutionizing the industry in a new era of authentic storytelling. So if I had to be honest with you, I thought this documentary was pretty good. It wasn't amazing, but that may change once I see part 2 of this documentary because I am not sure at this point which direction they are going to go in. In part 2, are they going to expound on the same areas that they did in part 1, just going a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole, or are they going to explore other entertainers in other shows that was not covered in part 1? At this point in time, I don't know which one I would prefer, which one would be more satisfying to me. One of the reasons why I am just not in love with this show, and it is great overall, I just kind of want to get this out of the way, is a lot of the material we've seen and or heard before through the grapevine of the years. Now, granted, there is a lot of new material that I have never seen before, so that's nice and refreshing. And I do appreciate that. But when it comes to good times, I've heard at least 7 times of John Amos's story of how he didn't approve of them focusing on JJ so much with his hat and silly antics and saying Dolomite over and over and over again. So when I was seeing those parts of this documentary, this episode, I wasn't as engaged as I was with other points. However, that's just a nitpick, and I just felt I needed to get that off my chest right now. But to give the documentary credit, I love the way it was edited at points, because if there was a prominent actor, actress, entertainer that has passed away, the editors did a great job of making you feel like the person, their essence was actually there, like they were still living, like they were in the recording booth in present time, creating this footage for us to consume for our enjoyment, for our entertainment. And there was just really something nice and touching and authentic about that. Also, it did get me emotionally, because while they did use prominent actors and entertainers, like I said, that have passed on a long time ago, they also used some footage with some entertainers that recently passed, like Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show. That hit me right here. And I was not the biggest Cosby Show fan, and I love Malcolm Jamal Warner, but at the same time, he wasn't in my top 5. Rest in peace, my brother, no disrespect. But just seeing him, and he recently passed in this documentary, I did not know that he was a part of it. That just kind of made me appreciate this documentary that much more. And that is one of the main things that I did love about this documentary, if there was something about it, is this makes me appreciate all of the hard work that Black people have done over the past years to give us entertainment, because seeing it from this perspective just kind of reminds me of how difficult it was and the hard decisions they had to make to keep the ball rolling. Their jobs were threatened at some points if they didn't agree with the script, or they didn't want to say this line of dialogue, or be this aggressive, or come across this way. It was a struggle for a lot of them. And again, at points in this documentary, I've said I've seen this before, but then again, there was those moments that were brand new to me. And I was kind of at the edge looking in like this, like, wow, I've never looked at it from this vantage point before. So I am a fan of Tracee Ellis Ross. I'm a fan of Oprah Winfrey, and I am a fan of Tyler Perry to a degree. I don't love all of their work, but it does gain my attention when they are coming out with something new. I like that the documentary started and ended with them. And not only am I looking at this as, okay, I want to be seen and heard, and these are the TV programs that I grew up on, that I felt like I was seen and heard in. I'm getting the perspective of the actors themselves, okay? I watched Tyler Perry. I watched Tracee Ellis Ross. I watched Oprah Winfrey be a host, be a reporter, be an actor, all 3 of them, producer, writer, director. But what influenced them? That's just something that I didn't think I was gonna get while I was sitting down and watching this. And you get that with not only those 3, but everyone that spoke in this documentary, from people in front of the camera and behind the camera. It's just too many to list. So I'm watching this and them recapping all of these shows that I grew up on over the years, with great narration, seeing myself through these shows. But I'm also getting an additional perspective, a bonus of the actors themselves that I watched growing up, what actually influenced them and how they saw and heard themselves through some of the same shows and or shows or movies that came before my time. So you get to see what influenced the influencers, in a sense. And they take it all the way back to the 1950s. Now, of course, I have heard of Amos and Andy. I didn't know much about it, but I didn't know that that was created by a white man and just completely made up of Black people with no ground basis on anything. Just something random that white people came up with, and hey, we want to see Black people acting this way, dumb, silly, slow, and stupid. And how for generations that shaped how society would treat Black people in certain parts of society. Also, Oprah Winfrey, we all know her, okay, a titan, a giant in television entertainment. I didn't know what her childhood was like, what images she grew up with, and how she did not have a television in her home. They had to go over her aunt's house, but anytime someone did come on, it was of a white person, and she was trying to emulate that, or they only saw Buckwheat or Amos and Andy. We all are products of our environment, and I just look at some of the entertainers, the directors, everyone in front or behind the camera that was in this documentary different, because I just felt like I was put in their shoes and their position to live just a small corner of their life and experience what they experienced from a different experience of me experiencing Black people through the screen like they experienced it as well. And this just also reminds me of how talented black people are and like where the world would be, where this country would be if we just cease to exist, if we just cease to not give out our talent anymore and just was chilling and docile and dormant. Like, what would entertainment look like? It just wouldn't exist. And we are constantly being exploited. I like how this focused on that towards the end of this program as well. Tracy Ellis Ross started out like, okay, this is a great moment. You can really tell that she appreciates everything that she did in Blackish. I did not watch the show, but watching this kind of makes me want to go back and check out a few episodes. I saw a handful here and there, and what I did see, I did enjoy, but she really did appreciate how that show ended and didn't take it for granted, because she mentioned, hey, this is a great moment right here with the final season, but I've had a number of moments before. While I have a great conclusion with this show, that wasn't the case with Girlfriends in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that is the case with a lot of shows of how these networks that had a certain amount of ratings would get built up off of black programming and black viewers. And then once the network is elevated, they get rid of the black shows and bring the white shows in, like Dawson's Creek and Gossip Girl. And I'm just like, wow. And I remember hearing stuff like this here and there growing up, but I like how this documentary had a magnifying glass hovering over it like a helicopter, just exposing all this and putting it on Front Street. They even had a section on civil rights. And mind you, you have to remember that being in Hollywood, being an entertainer, actor, actress, I don't know this from experience, but I've heard a number of entertainers say this, that a lot of this is not just a dream come true for them. Not a lot, but a number of them is just a job. And they will sometimes want to quit and do something else. But hearing certain actresses in the civil rights movement say they wanted to quit a certain role, but hearing prominent figures like MLK like, no, I don't need you to quit. I need you to keep performing this role in this television show, because you are a shining example right now, a great example of what a black man or a black woman can strive to be. I've never heard anything like that before. And if they're telling the truth, which I'm pretty sure they are, I just kind of find that amazing, to be honest with you. But one thing that was really heartwarming was the section on Good Times. Esther Rolle, rest in peace, my sister. She was speaking on how she quit Good Times for a season because she did not like the way that black people were being depicted. And she said, yes, there is progress and it's picking up, but there is not enough variety. She said, of course, black people come in all different shapes and sizes. She is not alive here today to see how much it has grown, but the way that this was edited did show that it wasn't as a prominent when she was here, but in 2025, her dream may have come true. And so that, again, just makes me want to push and fight harder for all the people that have paved the way in the years prior, like a Sidney Poitier or Harry Belafonte. And again, I can name plenty. And then Issa Rae, one of the producers, creators of this show, she's part Black American, and also the other half is from Senegal, and how she was born in LA, but at one point moved over to Senegal, and what her experience was like on seeing black actors and actresses on television and movies, from overseas. And I appreciated that perspective as well. Like, everybody in this documentary gave a story, gave some detail of them at a young age seeing black people on screen and what that did to them and how that helped influence them in their TV and film creative. But it was a pretty good documentary. I did enjoy it, and I'm really eager to see what part 2 is going to do. Again, if they're going to explore new ideas, new shows, new actors and actresses, or go a little bit deeper on the same things that they did in part 1. Either one, I'm pretty sure, will be entertaining. But again, one of my main takeaways is that Tracy Ellis Ross is saying that she hopes that we can create roots of our stories and creativity and it not be erased away. And I'm 100% down with that. And so I don't think I'm going to give the documentary a rating at this point. I will when I recap review part 2, which at this moment I have not seen. I'm going to go ahead and watch that right now. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That is just my opinion. And before you go, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, share the video, all that good stuff. And make sure you go ahead and click right here for my part 2 breakdown as well. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm B. Avery. That's just my opinion. Peace. And I'll see you next time.